So anyway, I take her home, start knocking her boots. She didn't like it too much, but there was some mud on them, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You got to get rid of the mud. You got to knock some boots every once in a while, swap some socks. Hey, everybody, how's it going, eh? This is the EhCast.
EhCast, yeah, we got to be a little more Canadian about it.
A little more Canadian about it, you know. Thanks for our old pal refugee out there.
Yeah.
The homie refugee. Anyway, yeah, we're coming down from Charlottetown here, near the Confederation Center.
Yeah.
It's quite a fantastic area. Really, it is. Cool. So now some housekeeping, Kevin. Housekeeping. It's the Mike Tyson version of housekeeping.
Yeah.
What have you been playing lately?
I've been playing. Well, I'm still playing Pokemon Go a bit.
Nerd.
Still playing Hearthstone.
Yeah.
I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to lose games and stuff, and it's reminding me, you know, the biggest thing I don't like about card games, that is randomness. And sometimes you lose, and there's nothing you can do about it. So I guess that teaches you how to handle bad luck.
How to handle what life just throws at you.
Yeah, just, you know, keep calm, but I'm not very good at keeping calm. And
Really?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
Well, like, I think it's a video game thing specifically, actually.
Yeah.
They make me a little bit angry. I don't get, like, in a fit or anything, but I do get grumpy with the game, and shouldn't be getting grumpy with a game.
If something feels inconsistent, I'm gonna scream. That's usually what happens. Like when I was like playing through the first Uncharted, I screamed so much. I was like, "You son of a bumblebee!" Just like, because like sometimes things wouldn't happen the way they'd happened every other single time, and it's like, come on.
Yeah. So, yeah, just been dealing with that. The other thing I've been playing, and this is kind of off the back of Pokemon Go and my girlfriend getting into it, Pokemon Omega Ruby.
Playing some of that Omega Ruby. Now, what's Omega Ruby?
So Omega Ruby is the 3DS remake of the original Ruby game. There's Alpha Sapphire, which is a remake of Sapphire.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's pretty fun.
I've never actually played the Ruby. See, I got out of that around Pokemon Gold. It was the last one I played. And
To be
I'm
fair,
like,
I
you know
think
what,
that
I'm
was
good.
the peak.
Absolutely. Pokemon Gold was awesome.
Yeah, just being able to like replay through the old region.
Yeah, and then you
awesome.
fight Red at the end. It's like, that was unreal.
Yeah, so much game there. Yeah, it's pretty good. The only thing with Pokemon games, especially recently, they've gotten significantly easier.
Oh yeah?
Yes. So how I'm playing it is with the Nuzlocke challenge.
Explain to the people what the Nuzlocke challenge is.
So the Nuzlocke challenge, it has two major things. One, the only Pokemon you can catch is the first Pokemon you encounter in any area. So like Route 104, you can only catch your first Pokemon you see there. After that, you can't catch any more from that area. And the map kind of shows you where all the areas are. And the second rule is if one of your Pokemon faints, you have to release them. You can't use them anymore.
Permadeath.
Yeah.
And I feel like that would really change up the dynamic of the game quite a bit when you're playing like that, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely does, because, yeah, you need to be significantly more careful about what you're doing. You can't really take risks as much. And it kind of brings out the random numberness of the game a little bit more, because you're noticing when attacks do just a little bit more damage than they normally do and stuff like that, and critical hits become very, very scary because it can take a healthy Pokemon to dead.
Yeah. Lapras is your best friend.
Yes, something like that.
Can't get crit.
Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty cool that way. A lot of people add on other challenges on top of it. Some of them people are crazy and do like no items at all and stuff. But the two extra challenges that I'm doing is no experience share. So that's too easy. And no like items on the Pokemon, because you can have like a healing berry on the Pokemon, and if they would faint, they would use it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not really fair.
Okay. Now, I'm trying to think of what I've been playing. The only thing I've really played a little bit of is a tiny bit of Hearthstone, but other than that, I haven't played any video games.
Yeah.
At all. I'm in one of those moods where I'm just not feeling super video gamey. You know what I'm saying?
Those moods come and go.
They do come and go. And I was honestly thinking about it the other day. I was like, I'm trying to think of how to phrase this. I don't care about video games anymore. And I don't think that means I grew out of them or anything like that. I think I have different interests now. And I think that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you'll still play video games. You'll pick them
Yeah.
up, and they're a good way to pass time and stuff. But it's not like I don't know what it was about being a kid and like just being like super obsessed about video games and like everything you wanted to do having to
Yeah.
relate to video games. Maybe it's just something that like you identify with as a kid and like you don't have as much to identify with as a kid.
Yeah, absolutely. See, now my big thing is I just want to push myself outside of my comfort zone as much as possible.
Yeah.
But that being said, I'm still making video games. I still want to get in the video game creation industry. I still care about video games in that sense, but as far as just like I want to play video games all the time, that's kind of left me a little bit.
Yep, certainly. It's yeah. Now it's just kind of more of a hobby. Like I play video games or I watch YouTube.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm like excited to go home from work to play video games or whatever.
Yeah, no, totally. Cool. So, what do you want to talk about here first? What do you got something to throw out?
I can't think of it.
Okay, I'll go for mine first.
Yeah.
So, my first one is, I'm going to go with this. So, as you know, I launched a game not too long ago on the Play Store, and that's all fine and dandy. But it got me thinking, and looking through the Play Store, that thing is massive. The amount of content on there is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes it impossible to navigate your way through. The only way you can find things is if they're super popular. Basically, that's the only way you can find it. Like, there can be fantastic games in there, and you just can't find them because there's so much stuff. And there can be a worse game that rips off that fantastic game but has, like, a valuable IP on it.
Yep.
Or something like
There's
that.
a lot
And
of that.
yeah, exactly. And then that becomes the super popular game just because. So, do you think there's any way that could be fixed or at least helped? Some type of curation system. But see, the problem with that I'm thinking about is you can't say to someone, oh, your game isn't good enough.
Yeah.
To be on here. Like, that doesn't feel like a fair concept. And it kind of seems like it would fly in the face of most of what Google is trying to do. So I definitely don't see that being the option. But do you think there's some type of curation system or something that could help make it more manageable?
I don't really know. Like, whenever you're curating stuff, you're pretty much introducing favoritism and stuff like that. And it's already there in a sense. Like, if you see a game like on the opening screen for like Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, those companies applied to get their games there. So in a sense, Google and Apple are like picking who they want to do very well.
The demons were just unleashed.
Yeah, I think it was an AC system somewhere, but oh my. Yeah, so it's really hard because more of that curation you bring in, the more favoritism you're bringing in. And, like you said, Google's like, they want it to be open. They want it to be easy for people to get stuff up and put it up there. And there like is a minimum barrier to entry. I think it was like $50 or something.
25.
25. Yeah. So really cheap. Like in the Apple Store, it's like 100, but on the Apple Store, you have to submit it, and they approve it or disapprove it or whatever.
And that's why my
reasons.
game's not on Apple devices, which I mean then brings up the issue. So Apple's trying to do what I'm talking about, but then creators don't want to bring their games to it. And maybe that's driving home the point of what I want, but there's still a lot of crap on the Apple Store too.
Yes, there is.
So like, how do you avoid it?
I don't think you can. People are going to make crap.
Yeah.
I feel like, making it as difficult as possible for crap to actually make money is a good thing to do.
Yeah.
Other than that, like, I don't know, there's so little you can do.
Well, it kind of seems like at the beginning of a specific console, not even console, but specific advent in gaming, it seems like shovelware tends to be pretty predominant. Like through the NES and SNES area, there was a bunch of crappy games, and you can only really tell. You can only think to yourself, well, maybe this game's good based on like the cover art.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And now we're at a point where shovelware, not that it doesn't exist, but it doesn't exist. Like pretty much.
Not in the same sense now.
Yeah, like the last large batch of shovelware I can recall seeing was really like those dearth of Wii games that came out.
Yeah.
Like those things, which I think I used the term dearth wrong there. But anyway, yeah, so that's the last time I remember seeing that. And I think we may get that in mobile eventually.
Yeah.
But it's such a new style of play. It's only been around, 10 years? Not even? You know what I mean? So I think it's going to take quite a while to get to that point. But I don't know what's going to cause it and if there's going to be a specific tipping point. Do you think there's going to be something there?
For phone games specifically? I don't know. See, it's so easy to make phone games, and they reach such a large market.
Yeah.
Like, it's not the same as, like, developing a game for a Wii or an Xbox or a PlayStation. Like, when you're doing that, you're only hitting, like, a third of the console market.
Yeah.
But when you make, like, a phone game, if you make just Google, you're hitting 60%. If you make just Apple, you're hitting 40%.
Plus, you don't need a publisher. You don't need a physical disc to go out, which is huge in costs. Massive.
Yeah, it's just so much easier. Like, it's all just uploaded online. People can download it online. And it's like the place it's just how you do phone things. It's not like you're loading an SD card into your phone to load it on there or anything.
And, like, a legitimate way of advertising that, like, the bigger companies do, too, is they just make a YouTube video. Like, you're on the same platform as them, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to take out a billboard when, like, Joe Schmo has a lot of trouble doing that, but something like Ubisoft, they don't have any trouble taking out a billboard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's definitely a lot more level of a playing field, but that isn't being represented by the top applications or anything like that.
Well, I think we see a lot of the same companies over and over again in the top applications. It's these companies that do have a lot of money. They can do advertisements and stuff like Game of War, Mobile Strike,
and like
Clash of Clans. Like, they all had TV commercials and stuff like that.
Yeah, that kid up to money.
Yeah. And, it certainly helps their popularity and, it keeps them up at the top. And I think that makes it even more hard for, non-big publishers to actually get their app up there.
And this is the first time we're getting more hard as a bad thing. And that's not very good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know if there's a good way to, like, have the smaller companies actually rise up the ranks more easily. Unless you get, like, a critical hit, which I can't even think of any recently. Like, I watched a video the other day on Downwell, which is just a little arcade game that
looks fantastic.
Yeah, it came out, and, like, it is, like, a fantastic game, like, super awesome. Didn't really do that well on the app stores and stuff. Like,
yeah.
So, how good do you have to be?
But I think part of that is also the fact that mobile, like, gamers suck. They suck so hard. Yeah. They expect everything for free. They'll give you 1 star if something's not perfect. And just to be clear, I'm not, like, jaded because I've had any of this experience on my game. Frig, no one's played my game. But you see it when you go through. Like, I can recall seeing the Telltale games, which not all of them are perfect. Sure, some of them have frame rate issues and things like that, I understand. But they're very good games.
Yeah.
For the most part, especially like the Walking Dead series, very good games. And looking through the reviews, I think the first one was available for free, and then the other ones cost like $5 a piece, and people were saying, "Oh, this gets 1 star because this is ridiculous. Like, this is too much to charge." It's this sense of entitlement.
Yeah, charging, like, they don't allow people to charge them for a game.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah, there's a lot of entitlement there. If anything's
everything
not perfect,
should be
then
free.
It's 1 star.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's 5 stars. Like, there's no
middle ground at all. Yeah. I mean, I was talking to you about this one night, and you're saying, like, all of the top applications have almost the exact same star rating.
Yeah, 4.3.
Yeah. And it's because of that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a little more variance, and I think Google actually did something recently to make it vary more, because I've noticed it's been going up and down more.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if there's a way to fix that entitlement other than maybe people getting over the fad. And, if they kind of identify with the hobby of playing phone games, then maybe they won't be so entitled and be more appreciative of another game coming out or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Yeah, because, like, this isn't the first time this has happened, and good games come to these devices. Like, I can recall Republic, a game that has reviewed very well on, like, Vita, and I don't think it was on 3DS, but it's also on consoles, getting 9s, things like that. On the App Store, people are like, "You want me to pay $4 for this?" It's like $20 on Vita, by the way. And, like, they don't think it's enough content. They don't think it's this or that. Like, they're just like this. Like, They think it should be for free when it's fantastic games that are viewed on it. So does that mean that the people who play it on Vita are just better consumers, or what does this mean?
Well, I think that's, it's part of what I was talking about with identifying with the hobby. There
Mm.
is not that many Vita devices sold, although it's gone way up and people aren't really aware.
Yeah. Oh, it's a fantastic system. Please join Vita Island if you can.
Yeah, but like, people still feel like it's a niche thing, so they're super appreciative of any game that comes out because like they identify with it. They're like, hey, I play video games, and I'm proud of that. So, each new game that comes out, like they're very happy about it, and they want to see it do well. So they're much more nice about it, and people don't identify with mobile games, so
Right.
they just don't care about what comes in, what goes out, because there's so much coming in.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question. This is side of a tangent because I'm getting away from this topic at this point.
Okay.
Who would you say has more high-reviewed games? Would it be the Vita or the 3DS?
I'd say it's probably Vita.
Yeah, okay, I was hoping you would let your Nintendo bias go in there because there are no games that come out on 3DS. Like, people are like, oh, the 3DS, that's such a... It really doesn't have that great of a library. It really doesn't.
It has a lot of good RPG games. There's some Pokemon games, and Fire Emblem game on it was pretty awesome, if I do recall, but that's another RPG.
Yeah.
So yeah, it seems like it's hit a very specific niche.
Yeah, I mean, for RPGs, like, I'm going to go play Freedom Wars or Persona 4 Golden or, you know what I mean? All these fantastic games that come out on Vita. That's just like, Frank, we have a Borderlands on Vita. That's ridiculous. Like, it's so good. It's so good. But I don't play my Vita near enough. I should definitely play more of it. Now, moving on to another subject, what do you got for me?
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit more about Pokemon Go, of course, because we gotta talk about it some. How much of it have you been playing recently?
None. Absolutely zero.
I've been playing a lot less, and I've had a lot less drive to play more. And I think a sign of that is that it just came out too early. They're missing like required things to keep kind of the elder players, as they're called, into it. Like, all I'm doing is the same stuff I've been doing since level 2.
Since day one, yeah.
Yeah, just catching more Pokemon, and that's all you can do. And I have general areas that I exist in. One of those areas by our house you can't do anything at, and then the area downtown by my work, and it's all the same Pokemon the whole time.
Exactly. And I mean, part of the problem is, like, if you're not playing it all the time, there's almost no incentive to play it because now we can't even compete with any of the people that are around because they're all at like CP 1000 and I'm sitting here at like CP 200. Like, and people are like, oh, you just got to play the game more. Why? That's my question. Like, I was out of province just yesterday, and I was out all day and whatever. I was like rock climbing, having a great time, hanging out with some friends, really cool people. And one of my friends texted me, and they're like, hey man, like, you're in Halifax all day. You must have caught some sweet Pokemon. And I'm like, no, like, I don't even know. That didn't even cross my mind, you know?
Yeah, it's weird because like how the whole gym system in it works actually benefits the further along player way more than it benefits like people trying to rise up, which is weird because like they say like go train your Pokemon at your team's gyms and stuff like that, and it's useless.
Yeah, new players don't stand a chance right now. I mean, that's why there needs to be what we talked about, a tiered system. And I imagine they're not stupid over there, right?
Yeah.
I imagine they know this is an issue. They have to.
Yeah. So I think their big three biggest issues is gyms are only for like elder players who have played a lot. There is no trading in the game, which means there's so little interaction with other players.
Yeah.
And third biggest issue is rural areas.
Yeah. Yeah, those guys are totally screwed. I mean, there's no Pokestops around.
Yeah.
There's no gyms in rural areas. Like, we can see people posting in our province, and you just see them like, well, I'm going to have fun with Pokemon Go, and you see the map, and it's just green. Nothing.
Yeah, and it's weird because, like, you expect that, like, oh, you're out in the fields, you're out in the woods, or whatever. You should expect to catch a lot of Pokemon. Like, one of the things I did on, like, day 2 of playing the game is I went to, like, the trail by our house, and I went and walked down it for, like, a good 20 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Didn't find a single Pokemon.
Which is funny because that's kind of against the promise. I mean, look at the videos that they were showing online of like people being like in the forest and in like the, you know what I mean, in places like this. And you should be rewarded for actually seeing nature. You know what I mean? And there's less chance of you getting hit by a car, which is just nice. And yeah, I find it really intriguing that they're not pushing that particular type of thing. Like, the only place where you can really do anything is downtown.
Yeah, where there's... So I believe that it's based off of Ingress, and Ingress will actually show you where there's more activity going on in like different locations. And so I think they're basing the Pokemon spawns off where there's more cell activity going on.
Right. I guess that makes sense, but at the same time,
It doesn't really make sense though. What is it doing for the game?
well, what they're trying to do is they're trying to cater to the most people.
Why? You could cater to everybody if your your Pokemon spawning system was just didn't care about the actual activity in the area and stuff like that. The only thing I can think of is they thought of some sort of exploit that you could do if you're in like a rural area and Pokemon still spawn at a decent rate. But like, I don't know, why not fix that exploit instead of just removing the idea of Pokemon spawning in rural areas?
That's a fair point, and honestly, I have no counterpoint to that. I mean, usually I try to play devil's advocate with most of our conversations just to keep something going, but like, I can't fight you on that at all. Like, it's... Yeah, I mean, the incentive should be to explore your community more because that's part of the idea. And like, sure, that's what we all did for the first week. But now we're all downtown. And there's no sense to do anything else. Like when we were just walking up here, which is near our province house, there's a bunch of people just gathered around there, sitting down, just same spots.
Yeah, it's usually
over and over.
Usually better to just sit where there's a bunch of Pokestops than it is to actually wander around.
Yeah.
And it's another problem with it is because Pokemon spawn near Pokestops, and lures make them spawn even more by Pokestops. So people just want to be by the Pokestops instead of actually wandering around. Like, I feel like it should be like, kind of a more personal system where it's like, if you catch Pokemon in like a very specific tiny area, they're less likely to spawn there now. So you need to move closer somewhere else and then, it'd have to like reset kind of eventually, but it's just to keep you actually like moving around and stuff. And then it also gets you hatching eggs and stuff, because I've only hatched like 4 eggs or something like that.
And that's another big issue that I have with the game. The fact that it only works when the app is open. Because like, I actually consider myself I would say an active individual. I do a lot of walking, I do a lot of biking and things like that. And it says that I've only done like 5K when easily in one day I do at least 10 or 15K, like on slow days. And that's not me bragging or anything. It's just it's something I know about myself. But it's the fact that it requires the app to be open. This isn't a technical requirement. I mean, Strava can do this, like Google Maps could do this.
Yeah.
So why? It's so that you keep playing the game.
I don't know. I feel like, it's because they want
why?
people having the game open so that they can find Pokemon.
So they'll get hit by a car? Like, but really though.
Well, like, I don't really know. I think they want people to find Pokemon, but the thing is, if you're traveling any big distances, you're going to go into areas where you just don't find Pokemon. There are areas downtown where you can see Pokestops all around you, but you won't find any Pokemon in that area because you're just far enough away from each of those Pokestops. And it's pretty crazy, especially since we have actually a really dense amount of Pokestops downtown here because we are a tourist city and, we have so many landmarks on Google Maps.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So you don't get rewarded for just walking around. I don't know. I find it really difficult to get large amounts of kilometers. Like if I did, I think I would play it more often. And if it kept up with my bike, that'd be nice, but whatever. I mean, I guess that's a more fair reason, because then you could just hop in a car and go kind of slow, like 20 kilometers an hour, and you'd be fine.
People do that already though, because you can still get Pokemon to pop up.
You must be going like 10 kilometers, because I tried on my bike, and like as soon as I hit around my average speed of around 20, 21 kilometers an hour, wasn't even close.
Well, see, they don't track the people who do it in their cars. They don't care about the actual distance traveled. What they care about is the Pokemon popping up, and there's still Pokemon popping up. So you need a passenger to be playing the app or whatever to catch Pokemon or whatever. But otherwise, they just use it.
How's it going?
Yeah.
Shooting a video. What's that?
Who through and who for?
For YouTube?
Yeah, just for ourselves.
Yeah, just for ourselves, not for commercial use or anything like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to?
You're allowed to.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry for any problems.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. Okay. Yeah. Thanks. Couple of badass motherfuckers.
I don't remember what I was saying.
Yeah, it totally threw me off. As soon as I come up, I know something's gonna happen, but we're not doing anything wrong, so we're good. Yeah, you know what though? If you're nice to people, usually you won't have a bad time. I think that's the lesson we learned.
I think we're lucky to be in Canada too, where people are just nicer to you than
absolutely.
other countries. It's one thing I have found traveling is like, especially like public workers, they aren't as willing to help.
Yeah. Yeah, like I've been listening to podcasts where, and this is a pretty controversial hot topic, but I'm not really getting into that aspect of it, of like even white people like very similar to myself being like, oh man, cops are always total jerks to me. I've never had that experience ever.
No. I would
like ever.
I got pulled over once, and it was kind of late at night, and the cop seemed like a little tired, and he was a little like short talking because of that. But
yeah,
he wasn't mean or anything. He was doing his job, and he wasn't like super helpful because like I needed to know where the next gas station was. He's like, "Oh, it's a ways down." That doesn't help.
A ways down.
But yeah, like there's nothing bad. It wasn't like a bad exchange or anything. It's just that's the worst experience I've had. And pretty lucky for that. And I think it's definitely because of where we are.
Did I ever tell you about my big cop story?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so strap in. I need you to hold the microphone for this bad boy. Okay, so was awesome. Kevin knows how to hold the mic. Whew. Okay, so anyway, so I was with my girlfriend at the time, and we were at the drive-in. Mm-hmm. So the drive-in is kind of it's certainly in a more rural area. It's a little out of town. Anyway, I'm peeling out of there, and I accidentally veer over to the wrong side of the road for half a second, but I come back on. I'm fine. Don't think much of it. We keep going. So we're going. We're having fun. We're driving. We're whatever. We're young, dumb. I was probably 19 at the time.
Yeah.
19, maybe 20. I wasn't doing anything illegal or anything like that. But anyway, so we're driving back, and we got down University. So this is entering into town.
Yeah.
Into the more downtown parts. And I see a cop car go by. And for some reason, I say to her, I'm like, you know what? I've never been pulled over by the cops or anything like that. Look in the back window. Cop whips around. Like, I swear to God, he must have done his emergency brake or something. Just total Yui. The lights go on. So I'm like, and the siren sound goes on too. Because sometimes he'll just put the lights on, but he also put the siren on.
The siren's odd.
Yeah. So he put the siren on.
At night too, right?
Yes, at
Especially
night.
odd.
Yeah. And anyways, I'm like, okay, this is kind of weird. So then I enter into the BK parking lot, and I'm like, uh-oh. And then, I swear to God, there must have been someone on a radio screaming, go, go, go. 6 cop cars pull out, and a van. I was waiting for the helicopter to come out next, to be totally honest. Anyway, so then they come out, and they block all the exits in this parking lot. So obviously this was a planned encounter.
Yeah.
And I come out, I'm shitting bricks.
I imagine.
Like, I was terrified. It was my first time ever getting pulled over, and there's literally 7 cop cars around at this point, because like 6 at all the exits, and then 1 behind me, big van there. And I'm like, what the hell did I do? Well, anyway, I talked to the guy, and he's like, so, you been drinking tonight? I'm like, no. And he looked at me, and you could just see the expression change on his face. I'm like, I'm going to get this kid to, oh, this is the wrong guy. And then he's like, license and registration. I'm like, I don't know where that is. Can you please talk me through this? This is my first time. And he was just like, okay, kid, in the glove box, give me the stuff. You're good. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I don't know what I did, officer. And he's like, you're good. Listening to the radio the next day, there was a silver car, which is the exact same color as my car, that was pulled over at 1 p.m. I was pulled over at 12:40 for a DUI.
Yeah.
So they thought it was me. But that was my big badass cop story. First time I ever got pulled over.
That is quite intense.
Yeah, I know.
The drunk driver must have been doing something pretty bad.
Yeah, man. They were like,
yeah.
Hunt.
Yeah, they had a little trap set up and everything.
Oh, yeah. It's just, yeah, I could just picture someone on the radio. He's here. Go, go. Like, it was so perfect. Scared the crap out of me.
So I think our battery's dying, so probably call it there.
We're gonna call it.